seems the efforts to show that the FBI is somehow weaponized or politicized against Republicans has hit yet another speed bump. Jim Jordan, chair of the House Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, and others had promised a significant group of FBI whistleblowers were going to come in to prove that the FBI had become corrupted, except it seems that effort isn't exactly going as planned. Now, in full transparency, I say this as someone who supports our local cops, sheriff's department, state troopers, and the FBI. And I remain troubled by this push by some on the right to try to turn the FBI into a caricature, suggesting they're all a bunch of political hacks. Apparently, 3 witnesses have come in so far for private interviews, and according to a 300-page report just released by House Democrats, so again, take that with a grain of salt, quote, "The 3 individuals we have met are not, in fact, whistleblowers. These individuals who put forward a wide range of conspiracy theories did not present actual evidence of any wrongdoing at the DOJ or the FBI." CNN reviewed the transcripts of their interviews and reported that, quote, "none of them appear to have had their claims validated by government entities that grant federal whistleblower protection. One, who alleged there was FBI wrongdoing, had their claims rejected. Another's retired, and it's unclear whether he has firsthand knowledge of the violations he alleges. The third has not revealed his direct disclosures or FBI suspension notice to House Democrats." And according to that report, each endorses an alarming series of conspiracy theories related to the January 6th Capitol attack, the COVID vaccine, and the validity of the 2020 election. One is called repeatedly for the dismantling of the FBI. Another suggested it would be better for Americans to die than to have any kind of domestic intelligence program. Jim Jordan responded in a statement saying it is beyond disappointing, but sadly not surprising, that Democrats would leak cherry-picked excerpts of testimony to attack the brave whistleblowers who risked their careers to speak out on abuses at the Justice Department and FBI. But that's not a denial of the substance of what CNN and House Democrats have reported about the so-called whistleblowers thus far. Now remember, last month, Jordan promised to get the transcripts of what he said were dozens of whistleblower interviews to Democrats.
You talk about dozens of whistleblowers. When are we going to get that information?
When they testify, when we work with, I'll work with the ranking member on that information.
You don't have any transcriptions of their interviews?
We have the first one, and we have the dozens who come and talk to our office.
They talk to your office privately?
They talk to Republican staff, right. When the transcript is done, you will get the transcript.
I mean of the dozens of whistleblowers you have already talked to that came to talk to your staff.
Yeah, what do you want me to turn over there?
Did you...
Their names?
Notes? Did anyone take notes?
I'll be happy to talk with the ranking member on how we handle that information.
Thank you.
All I'm telling you is we will schedule each for a deposition.
Here we are a month later. Look, it's a lot easier to make sweeping statements about how bad all cops are or FBI is than it is to back it up with evidence. An FBI that's led by Republican Chris Wray, was appointed by President Trump, an FBI that's never in its history had a Democratic leader. Have the FBI made mistakes? Absolutely, and some big ones. The Inspector General of the DOJ wrote a scathing report about it. But the report and a bipartisan Senate committee looked into politicization and found no evidence that the FBI's actions, for example, in opening the Russia investigation, were politically motivated. Look, I'm more than open to hearing about wrongdoing by law enforcement. After all, accountability is critical to maintaining faith in law enforcement. But when the left and the right make sweeping allegations against law enforcement, I want to see the receipts. And while it's maybe still early, so far this House subcommittee is struggling to deliver any evidence that the FBI as a whole is somehow politicized. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.